Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about time blocking. What is it? How does it work? And why is it helpful? Some of the most productive and successful people in the world use time blocking. So let's take a deep dive in and find out what it's all about. So, firstly, what is time blocking? Time blocking is a method whereby you block off periods of time on your calendar or in a book. You can use either a digital calendar or you can use a notebook like Newport. I'm not going to talk too much about the notebook method of time blocking. I will link to the article that he did on it just so you can find out a bit more about it. But today we're going to be primarily talking about how to block off time in your calendar and why you should try block off as much time in your week as possible. Quite simply, time blocking is just taking tasks that you have, tasks being things you need to do, and putting them on your calendar and sort of guesstimating how much time those things are going to take. So why should you use time blocking? Like, why not just add a to-do list? Well, this actually comes down to something called the human planning fallacy. And basically, what this means is that humans are really bad at planning their time. We often think something will take much longer than it should take, or it will take a lot quicker than it should take. I mean, you may want to run an errand to pick up your laundry from the laundromat, and you'll say that will take you half an hour because Google Maps says it takes 15 minutes to get there and 15 minutes to get back. But what you don't account for is the random roadblock, having to go pick up or fill your petrol tank or gas tank, and perhaps getting stuck in traffic. These are all things that you don't think about and don't plan about. So instead of saying, picking up the laundry is going to take 30 minutes. What we're going to do is we're going to say picking up the laundry is going to take 1 hour. And what we try to do is be really generous about planning our time. But what it also allows us to do is visualize how much time is being used. And on top of that is because you're planning important things first, when someone says to you, hey, could we meet about this thing, and it's not too important, you can actually look at your calendar, and if your calendar is fully booked, you can say to them very honestly and politely, you can say, I'm sorry, but all my time this week is booked up. I actually don't have time this week to do that thing. Before, you may have overbooked and you may have said yes to that meeting without realizing how much work you actually have to get done. So let's take a look at how we actually do time blocking. In front of me, I have my Google Calendar open right here in front of me. And right now it is blank. I traditionally have all these tasks. You'll see them on the left here. Sorry, not tasks, calendars. And I like to try split my calendars up depending on what they're for. But basically, I have two main types of calendars. I have weekly recurring soft events, as I call them. And then I have this one, which is just called Ross Griffin, which is my name, which is the hard events. I've just made two calendars here for the sake of this demonstration. And in this demonstration, I'm going to just be showing you the difference between hard events and soft events. This is something, I don't know if I've picked it up from someone or if I came up with it myself. I'm not going to take credit for it, but it's something that I use. Now, a soft event is something that does take up time, that does happen often, and it does happen every week. But if you miss it, it's not a train smash. You're not going to get into trouble from someone if you miss it. Examples of soft events is getting ready for work, eating your breakfast, having lunch. Those are all soft events. Okay, so we've split our time up into hard events and soft events. Hard events are events like meetings with people or having to be at work. Those are hard events. If you miss that, you're probably going to be in trouble or upset someone. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take a look at our to-do list. And in our to-do list, I've just made some mock tasks. And what we're going to do is we're going to schedule these tasks on our calendar so we can sort of get a feel for how time blocking actually works and how I personally do time blocking. So I'm just going to put that on another screen so we can see what we're doing. First, what we're going to do is we're going to schedule our soft events. Now, soft events could be things like going to the gym. You'll see here I've already got morning routine. Morning routine could include going to the gym, or it could be things like meditating, reading, and having a shower. And sometimes what I like to do is, if that's the case, I like to just in the description say meditate, shower, prepare lunch for work, just so I know what that consists of. So if it doesn't include, and you want to just say save for this and following events, if it doesn't include gym, for example, and you want to include gym in your routine as well, what you can do is you can say gym, and I'm just going to go more options. When I put this in, make sure it's in soft events, so just add it to weekly events because it's a recurring thing. And then I'm going to just say I'm going to make it every weekday. So gym is going to be every weekday from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. Now, this is a perfect example of where human planning fallacy can come into play. What we've done here is we've got a morning routine at 5 to 6 a.m. We need to take into account like transitioning between events. Going to the gym might take me 15 minutes in the car. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shift that to 6:15, and I want to say yes, apply to all events. Now, let's say for the sake of this example that I get ready, I go to work at 9 a.m. So we're just going to put here work. And when it comes to work and personal calendars, I personally suggest having a separate calendar for work. You block off an entire slot for work on your personal calendar, and then you time block within your work calendar. You don't want to be seeing work related things on your personal calendar during the weekend when you're trying to relax. So we're just going to add work, go to more options, and let's say I finish work at 5 p.m. That's 8 hours, which is a pretty standard day every weekday. And I'm going to make this a hard event because we don't want to miss work. So now what we're seeing here is very quickly how powerful time blocking can be in actually how much time is taken up by doing various things. Like I can now see that I have about an hour to get ready for work between 7:30 and 8:30. So I'm going to put here getting ready for work. Now in my mind, this would be a soft event because you can get ready for work in probably 15 minutes to 30 minutes depending on who you are. But if you want to take your time and take an hour, we'll put it down as an hour. Say it's a soft event because if you miss it, you're not going to die and upset someone. I've just made a mistake here. I've added my own calendar. Let me just try that again. Getting ready for work, YouTube, weekly events or soft events as we're calling them, repeats daily, every weekday. That looks right. There we go. So now we have our soft events. But now how do we do things like these tasks that we have? Because when we do time blocking, what we want to do is we want to capture every single task that we have and then allocate time to it. So just to remind you what our tasks are, I'm going to bring this window back here. This is our tasks. We've got to design a homepage for a client website. We've got to send documents to Carol, and we've got to send invoices to clients. Need to wash the car, do the laundry, feed the dog, and I need to phone my mom. So we're going to just work through these very quickly. Now, because I'm at work and I don't want to be doing these things during work hours, say for example, I've got a side hustle, which is exactly how I do operate. I have a side hustle and then I have my main job. You don't want to be doing your side hustle things during work hours because that's just bad form and no one likes a guy that does that. So what we're going to do is we're going to try allocate these tasks to time periods that are free. Now all this white space is what I have available to me. Before I allocate those tasks, what we're going to do is we're just going to put our bedtime in here. So I'm going to say shutdown, or let's call it nighttime routine, just so we know when we can't be working. And I'm going to make that repeat daily. Save. Okay, so now you'll see between the time that I work and nighttime routine, I have about 4 hours that I can be productive. Now, if we're being realistic, I've probably only got 3.5 hours. So let's say design homepage for client, and we're going to start that tomorrow. I probably could allocate that amount of time to it. actually, let's go for up to 9. And I'm going to say design homepage for client website. And there we go. That is that task done. Then we're going to go in and we're going to say send documents to Carol. Done. And that could probably only take me 30 minutes. And then so on and so forth. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the rest of this, and I'll see you back in a minute after I've just put all of this stuff in a calendar. You don't have to see me doing all the boring stuff. Okay, so now what I've done, I've put all my tasks on my calendar. They're all planned, and you'll see I've got these nitpicky tiny tasks all over here, and big tasks where I'd require more concentration. I like to keep that together and give as much time to that task as possible. I also realized that I'd feed the dog on the task list, and it would make no sense to only feed your dog once a week, so we just made that a recurring event. Now, something that I'd recommend is color coding your calendars. So by default in Google Calendar, and you can really do this on any calendar app. You can do it on Outlook, Woven, Google Calendar, and whatever the Apple equivalent is. But already every calendar on Google Calendar has its own color, but we can go in here and give time blocks or events, as Google Calendar calls them, their own color. So let's give work its own color. We're going to just edit this. I'm going to change it to lavender, and I'm going to save this and following events. So work is now purple. Now what I like to do is I like to make blocks of work a certain color, especially for client work. If I'm working, I usually make that purple, and you can really use any color you want. And then I like to make tasks a sage green color. Let's go to the sage green, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to make you watch me change the color of every single event, but that's sort of how it works. So what we want to do is you want to color code your calendar, and it really does just give you an overview, or a better overview, of what your week looks like. Now this is great because there's also applications like Calendly, which is an app that I've used in the past. What you can do is you can link Calendly to your calendar, and when people say, hey, could we meet up for coffee, you can say yes, but in order to save you and myself time, please use this link, and what it will do is we'll find a free spot on my calendar that's suitable for both of us. This is something that I have done, and my friends get really irritated with me. They're like, oh, do I have to book an appointment? But it's not booking an appointment, it's just saving the back and forth. But anyways, that's time blocking. I hope it's been helpful. Just remember, this is something that's used by the likes of Elon Musk and so many other successful CEOs and people. Really is a great way of putting everything on paper, all your time, all your tasks on paper, and visualizing what your week looks like. And it's great because then you can see what they call white space, the gaps in your calendar, and you can either just relax or allocate that to other tasks. One last thing before we go is that if you don't finish all the tasks on your calendar, don't be afraid to shift them around. And I think it's so important that if you put something on your calendar, you absolutely have to do it. You don't want your calendar to lose its gravity. When something's on your calendar, it needs to be done, and it needs to be done seriously. But yeah, that's all from me. I hope this has been helpful to you. If you enjoyed this video, one way you can support me is by giving it a like, sharing it on social media, and subscribing to the YouTube channel. That would really mean a lot to me. I'm really trying to make more of these videos, and if you have any questions, just drop them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. Have a great week.